Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
If you've already caught yourself saying, I'll deal with my health in January, this episode is for you.
Because what most people don't realize is that January doesn't magically reset your body. The way you treat yourself in December is what determines whether January feels calm and energized or overwhelming and exhausting.
Can you believe it? Today is episode 144, and we're going to show you why a happy, healthy new year actually starts right now without dieting, restricting, or adding stress to the holidays or doing insanely crazy workouts before January hits.
That sounds like something you used to do.
It does sound
because
like
it was something you used to do.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy Healthy Guys.
You know, it's crazy to think that most people right now will be on vacation for the rest of the year. When I say vacation, not from work, but from their health. And that really started somewhere around, Halloween.
That's typically when it starts, right?
It is, because now you got the holidays. You're like, you know what? I'm going to make it up by just starving myself a couple days during the holidays and or working out like crazy. And then I will start my New Year's resolution on January the 1st. And whatever it is that I've got planned for my health. And January is going to happen January the 1st. But you're too late if you're waiting for
way too late. It's kind of like, when you commit to anything, it has to, you can't do it at the 11th hour. It's kind of one of those things where if you're going to commit, let's just say to getting up in the morning and you're going to start going for a walk, you're going to start working out. Well, that commitment doesn't happen when the alarm clock goes off at 6 a.m. because if that's when you're making that decision, especially during the winter, it feels way better to stay in your warm bed and not get outside or not go work out. So the real commitment doesn't happen that morning. It happens the day before or days before because you've made the commitment, much like making the commitment to change your entire life starting January 1st or create a new habit. That won't happen for a lot of you. That's why I think the number one consumption of milk chocolate for the year is January 4th?
Yeah, I think that's probably science and statistical data that backs that statement up. So let's talk about January. Why is it that January feels so hard for most people, and why it is that people do stop their New Year's resolution sometime between January the 4th and January the 12th. Why is it so hard for people to stick to doing something that they have, quote, committed to as their New Year's resolution?
Yeah, I think it's what we talked about earlier. When you start getting into really bad habits, maybe for a lot of you starting around Halloween. It's the whole Halloween thing that bleeds into Thanksgiving, that bleeds into Christmas, that hits New Year's. And it's such a hard transition all of a sudden to go into January 1st and have a new game plan. So really, and I can speak from experience, for me, there's nothing I'm going to be thinking about changing on January 1st. My changes already started 10 days ago because I want to prepare myself to go into this next year. And I do this every year. I want to be better in 2026 than I was in 2025. And I try to stack commitments year after year after year. But so one of my commitments, if I can be transparent, is for 2026, I'm not going to drink any alcohol. And it's not like I'm drinking bottles of wine and splurging, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I feel that I want to eliminate even having a glass of wine with dinner. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, that's something I'm going to commit to for all of 2026. I was asking myself, when was the last time that I'd gone more than 3 months and not even had just even a glass of wine? So I'm going to go a full year, but that won't start January 1st, Dr. Rob. That's already started 10 days ago for me because I'm already setting the foundation and showing myself that what I'm committed to starts right now. And so you always want to ask yourself, what are the things that you value the most? And what are the things you can start doing today to start making that change? And I've already asked that question. already know the answer. So the plan starts immediately. If you do care about anything and you are committed to making any changes, if you put that off or you delay that, the odds of you keeping your word to yourself greatly diminish returns on that.
Yeah, so check this out. As you were talking, I was curious because you always hear people say that it takes about 20 to 30 days to create a new habit. So whenever they have like the Alcoholics Anonymous, however many days it takes to be able to say that, okay, you're free and clear from
Right,
that, and
right.
everybody's like somewhere between 20 and 30 days. So I just looked it up, and the latest data shows that in order to create a new habit, something that you're going to stick with, takes 60 to 70 days.
Okay.
Which is why even with our Happy Healthy for Life
Yeah.
program, our Happy Healthy for Life program is 90 days.
Right.
And there's a reason for that, because we're creating happier, healthier habits that you can be able to sustain for the rest of your life. And I also wanted to find out how many days there were between October the 31st, Halloween, and January the 1st, because I wanted to see how many days there were for people to create this new habit of being unhealthy or being, quote, on vacation.
Right.
There's 62 days between October the 31st and January the 1st.
There you go. So you're already reinforcing all these bad habits, and you think you're just going to turn it around with this crazy wild commitment on January 1st, where you're like going to do everything 10 times worse leading into it, because you know that change is going to be so painful and that transition is so hard. Yeah, it's like the commitment to what you believe about yourself, your values, what brings the most value to you and your family. Those are things that you can't delay. Those are things that have to happen right now. In fact, it takes me back to one of my favorite movies, Dr. Rob. I love it's Rocky. I love the whole Rocky series. Everything about it.
Good.
Everything about it. I love it. And one of my favorite, I think my favorite Rocky is probably Rocky 3. And it's the one where Rocky and Apollo Creed actually become friends. And Apollo is like, he's trying to get Rocky, get him that fire back. Get him back that eye of the tiger, right? A great song by Survivor. If you've never heard that song, I'm sure you have.
First song I ever learned to play drums to.
Survivor?
Yeah, Eye of the Tiger.
No way.
Oh, yeah, in my garage.
All right, yeah, I got to hear this, dude. You're got to break out the drumsticks. That's one of my favorite songs, but Eye of the Tiger, but he's trying to get Rocky to get that Eye of the Tiger back, and Rocky is he's in this lull. He's lost his way. He's lost his passion. And as he's training Rocky in one of their sessions, Rocky just basically has quit. And Apollo is like, "What's wrong with you?" He's just screaming at him, "What's wrong with you?" And Rocky's like, "Nothing, man. It's, tomorrow. I'll change tomorrow." And Apollo's like, "There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow." And what he was saying is, when you delay and put off things in your life that you should already be doing, it becomes more painful and less likely. So remember that you choose your hard, right, in life. And if you choose your hard, what we're saying is a lot of the times what you're doing in life that's keeping you stuck, that's keeping you comfortable, that isn't even serving you, you stay there because it's what you know and you're afraid of the pain of change. But all of the magic that you are literally avoiding happens on the other side of that pain and choosing the hard. It's never easy hard. It's always hard easy. And I can tell you right now, for both of us, I think that really became crystal clear for us even years ago when we did a program called 75 Hard, where that voice that tells you to do it tomorrow is the voice that is the con artist. It is lying to you. It is telling you that it can wait. And I can tell you right now, the moment to start making changes happens right now.
It does happen right now. And I think about it, and even making changes even before I talk about that, I've got a question for you. So
What you got?
You love the Rocky movies?
I do.
How do you feel about what about the Creed movies, the newer ones? How do you feel about those?
Yeah, I did enjoy them, but it wasn't the same as the Rocky series. But yes, in fact, funny that you said that. I just rewatched Creed 2 the other day, which I do like Creed 2 even better than the first Creed. But yes, I enjoy those as well. And it's still got that same theme, you're pulling that something out of you because your mind is a liar, right? It knows your habits. It knows how to con you. and knows how to persuade you. Any voice that's telling you to delay something you know you need to do, and here's how you know if that voice is in your head, because what you will tell yourself, and this is the crazy thing, is, yeah, that's really not for me. That's for somebody else. And anytime you say that's for somebody else, guess who that somebody else is? It is you. You're the one, and I'll tell this story quickly too and pass it back to you. But I remember when I had first heard of a guy named Andy Frisella, a program called 75 Hard. This is what, probably 4 years ago, maybe?
Maybe more.
Yeah. And I had sent you the episode because he was talking about this program called 75 Hard, where it's not even about getting in shape. It's around building mental discipline and keeping integrity with yourself, which is something I was struggling with, I believe, at that point in my life. And we all still struggle. That's why you want accountability. But I remember sending you the episode, but I heard the episode, and when I first heard it, I was like, that sounds incredible, but that's really for somebody else. That's not for somebody like me. And when I sent it to you and you watched the episode, you text back to me, all right, dude, I'm in. And I'm like, you're into what? I didn't say I'm into anything. I just sent you a podcast. You're like, I'm in to do the 75 Hard program. And I was like,
that's why you were sending it.
No, that's for somebody else. And then when you send it back to me, I go radio silent for like 2 days.
I didn't hear back from you for a few days.
For like 2 days. And I was wrestling with the decision of like, yeah, Rob's doing it. But probably Rob does need to do it. That's really not for me. And then as I kept telling myself that, and if you're the person that tells yourself, yeah, that's really for somebody else, wow, then I finally was like, oh my gosh, I am the person that most needs to commit to this. And we end up both doing it. And it was a very powerful time in our life because we were going through a lot at that time, even within the company. And I remember having some of the best success.
Kind of a shit show, actually.
Yeah, for lack of a better word, it was. And I remember us committing to doing that together and holding ourselves accountable and doing something hard. And remember, nothing's noble or virtuous about doing something hard if you don't complete it and come to the other side of it. But we did it. We completed it. We went through it. And I remember having some of the best growth in our company. And it opened up doors for us today, looking back, that I believe would have never happened if we hadn't committed to keeping our word to ourselves and the commitment to being our absolute best and becoming the best version of ourselves, even if that meant it was going to be hard.
Yeah, I'm chuckling and laughing because just thinking back to that time that, yeah, it was all about, having the fortitude to say yes to that.
Yeah.
And then take action after that. And then really be consistent with that. And so consistency really, truly is what beats willpower every day. And I think it was back then where I made the decision to make sure that I was already checking things off of my list first thing in the morning. And that's when I made the decision to start making my bed every day. So however many years ago that was, I was out of town this last weekend and I still make my bed, even in a hotel room. I'll make my bed because I committed to it. It's just that thing. It's one of those things now that I can't not do it, or I feel like there's something is off if I don't go ahead and do that, because it's now a habit.
So let me ask you a question about that. So initially, and I'm assuming that probably felt a little bit annoying.
Oh yeah.
How does it feel now to wake up and make your bed? How does that feel now?
Feels great. I feel like I've accomplished something first thing in the morning. And there's been times when I've had to jump out of bed, take a shower. Maybe I'm taking a kid to school and I'm getting ready to walk on. I turn around and I see that my bed is still not made. And I will turn back around no matter how much time it takes and go back and make my bed, no matter what.
So it wasn't easy, hard. It was hard. And now it's easy.
Yeah, it's super quick. Yeah, it's super quick. So you got it's all about that consistency right there. So, and I think the other thing that makes it hard is you make it hard on yourself by the things that you say to yourself. And I know that to be true because it could be you're saying something to yourself. So then what you start doing is you start looking for all of the things around you to be able to validate the thing that you said to yourself, like, you know what? You're not worthy of having that body that you've always wanted, or that physique, or that health that you've always wanted. You're not worthy of that. And then somebody else may, send you a text message saying, yeah, you shouldn't have. And we get messages all the time, about like
Yeah.
the things that we wear or whatever, even with podcasts, or maybe you shouldn't have wore that. And you're like, crap, I was right. I wasn't worthy of that health or wearing that or whatever it is. And now you start agreeing with, with whatever it is that other person said. So really, you got to change the things that you're saying to yourself. And I am statements are huge, and saying those I am statements in real time. So if you're going to do anything, don't wait till January the 1st
Yeah.
to start those I am statements and the things that you're saying to yourself. Start those things right now. When's the best time to plant a tree?
20 years ago. The second best time
is right now. So make December. So point number 2 is making December, and it's really a continuation of what we're talking about right now, is making December preparation season. It's not damage control and trying to control the damage that you created this last weekend because of the holiday party that you went to. I was talking to a buddy of mine, you know him, Hugo.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to him
Great
the
guy.
other day and trying to get dinner scheduled with him, and he's in the mortgage industry. And within the mortgage industry, this right now is when they're networking with all of the clients that they've been working with all year. So for him, every single night was going to a different holiday party. And a lot of people are in that same place right now.
Totally.
And so because of that, you might be trying to have damage control to try to fix whatever damage you created last night or the night before or the night before. So why create that damage in the first place and be preparing as you're going to these different holiday parties, as you're getting ready to go into Christmas with family and loved ones and things like that. And by the way, I got invited to your family's Christmas.
Yeah, I got a bone to pick with you about this. Maybe not with you, maybe
speaking-
with my brother.
I think you may need to talk to him. I probably should have told you that he invited me to come over for Christmas.
Before we, just what, an hour ago, you get this text from my brother Russell, who hosts Christmas. And I just talked to Russell yesterday. We had no discussion about me being invited over for Christmas this year. And then you get a text from him and he said, "Hey, we'd love to have you come out for Christmas." So I guess I'm just crashing the Christmas party. So I guess the bone to pick with is it you. I'm gonna go text my brother here after we get off this podcast.
And here's the beauty of going to your brother's for Christmas, because this is preparation season.
Yeah.
Is I also know that Amy, your sister-in-law, will have prepared ready an amazing meal at Christmas that's going to be seed oil free.
Yep.
It's going to be healthy. I wouldn't have to worry about what it is that I'm going to be putting into my body. I'm not going to have to worry about bringing my own food with me, because she has prepared, but she didn't start preparing in December.
Yeah.
She started preparing years and years ago because of listening to you. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. We appreciate it. Now, if you're somebody who's curious about your metabolism, how you're doing with your metabolism, go to metabolismscore.com, take the quiz, find out where you're at.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And, we don't make a lot of products, but the products we do make are all metabolically focused. So go check these out. Go to the happyhealthylife.com. And when you get to checkout, use code podcast to save 10% off any and all of our metabolic friendly products. Yeah, to listening to you, to me, to us, and remember, she went through a health crisis a few years ago, which really brought it full circle. So a lot of the seeds that we had been planting, that I had really taken the time to plant within my family, didn't harvest until the crisis hit. And unfortunately for a lot of people, that's when it happens. But it doesn't mean you plant or don't plant. You know that your job is to plant seeds of truth. And it did come full circle. And now I've seen it go across the board because of what she went through. Now my brother he's eating better. My nephews are being raised on real food. They don't go to doctors. They don't take medications. They don't get, stuck full of, they've never had a vaccine. This is a family where seeds were planted and now you're seeing this harvest. So yeah, I love it because I guess I'm crashing the party because I wasn't invited. But at the same time, I don't have to worry about bringing anything because I know I'm going to show up. There's going to be SCT oil on the counter. I'm going to see trace mineral salts. My sister-in-law, Amy, is going to make the most amazing fair traded organic coffee, and she'll have the Surge minerals sitting right there by the coffee maker with the trace mineral salts, the SCT oil. I just love it because I'm walking into a happy,
Yeah.
healthy environment, which is really exciting. Yeah.
It's super exciting, and here's the other thing. So the next point is not even about that preparation, December being preparation season, but really, what matters most is what are you doing in the season right now. What I mean by what it is that you're doing is what are you doing to be able to make sure that you are from a sciencey standpoint and a cellular standpoint, what are you doing to be regulating your hormones in your body, to be regulating your nervous system? We're regulating the things that create better adaptation to the stresses that are
Yeah.
around us
Yeah.
at this time of year. And so that's why there's so many people that have been purchasing our thin method system in December. We probably sold more thin method systems in this month alone in
Oh, easily.
December
Yeah.
and additional rounds of our system than we have in any other month.
I know.
And you would think, and people always ask us, and they always say, hey, you know what, do you start doing all of your marketing January 1st? Because that's got to be the Super Bowl when it comes to helping people with their metabolism and losing weight. That's not actually true.
No.
And that's not true for a couple of different reasons, but the reason people are purchasing the program now in December is because they need the structure
Yes.
in order to be able to help them with that consistency. They need the accountability, like we
Yes.
just got through talking about
Yes.
right now. So they also want to know that I've got structure, I've got accountability,
Mhm.
and now I'm accountable to this program. I'm not accountable to what my friends are serving at the holiday party that I might be going to. They already know exactly what they're going to be eating today, tomorrow, the next
I'm
day,
not
the
making
next
this
day.
up as I go. I'm
Yeah.
not death by diet a la carte. I'm not, drowning in the lack of willpower. Structure is huge. Accountability is huge. It's probably two of the most important things you can implement if you're really serious about improving your life.
Yeah. And why not? And they also know that they are going to be, if you're a female, the average weight loss is 22 plus pounds. They know that throughout December, it's a very short window of time. They're going to weigh at least 22 pounds less than they did before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to start January the 1st and New Year's off with a new metabolic weight set point or new metabolic thermostat on January the 1st. And that makes going into this next year, into 2026, you're already ahead of everybody else who decided that they were going to wait until New Year's.
Yeah, you don't put it off. We have a saying and we've used it for years. We got it from somebody else. I believe it was from our good friend Matthew LaGrange. But the goal is to create an environment where good things are more likely to happen. And that's why the thin method really isn't, it's not about losing weight. It is about creating an environment metabolically where your body can heal. A lot of you who've gone through our program, you understand this, but for those of you who don't know, I mean, the thin method, it really is a system. It's a technology that builds and stacks on every single day to help fortify the body with nutrient dense foods, detoxification to make sure that you're getting rid of stored toxins, specifically industrial seed oil, which is pervasive. How many people would you say today in our culture and society have been poisoned with industrial seed oil?
Oh my gosh, I mean, the numbers are unfathomable.
It'd be hard to find anybody who isn't poisoned. And when you're poisoned with anything, but specifically with seed oil, you will down regulate your metabolic profile. And it doesn't matter what you do, when all the dust settles, you'll be right back where you were or worse. Along with other chemicals, specifically glyphosate, which is in Roundup that's sprayed on crops, all wheat and grain, and all these things that are in our foods that we eat have this chemical, and it essentially punches holes into your gut lining and causes severe inflammatory response, histamine responses, and your body can't lose the weight. So there's a whole sophistication behind this program to create that environment where your body can heal, it can detox, it can repair, it can regenerate. The body is so resilient, and that's how we've built our company. We've taken all of our chips and moved them into the center of the metabolic table, and we've put everything on that the greatest doctor in the world is on the inside of you, and that health is the normal and disease is the abnormal. And then if you create an environment where good things are more likely to happen, it will, and your body will do that. And I love that about the program, and doing that now and going into the new year, it couldn't be a better time to do that, because when's it a good time? Going back to what is it that you value? What do you want in your life? And then when should you start doing it? When is the best time to start changing your metabolic profile and improving your overall health? I think the answer to that is it's yesterday.
Yeah, it's yesterday. And that's why, if you look at our thin method, thin actually stands for all those things that you were just talking about right there.
Right.
The T is resetting your metabolic thermostat. So that's happening within 5 weeks. And then you have H is hormone balancing. The I is internal cleansing, the detoxification of the seed oils that you were just talking about. And then the N being nutritional intelligence, in making sure that you understand exactly what foods that your body needs in order to be able to heal your body's metabolism. And that's why we get messages that we were just talking about before we came on. We've done a lot of TV. Many of you guys know that we've been in this documentary called Your Second 50. We've been on all kinds of other TV shows. And so we meet a lot of the people behind the scenes in these TV shows. And one of the producers of a show that we had done and been on sent us a message yesterday. Said, hey guys, it's that time of year again. I need a happy, healthy tune-up, because she knows that she wants to be doing program now before she goes into the new year. And then we've got another doctor couple, some friends of ours that are in, or were just in Costa Rica, and just completed their program. And Dr. David, how many pounds down do we know?
It's I want to say 32 pounds in the 5 week of the retrain phase of the program, and he's now in reset, where he's getting metabolically flexible. In fact, he said, he goes, guys, you're blowing my mind. He goes, I'm eating over 200 carbs a day into my 2nd week of the reset phase, and I can't gain weight, and I haven't been able to stay under 200 pounds in a very, very long time. In fact, I saw a picture of them on Facebook in Costa Rica, him and his wife, Dr. Kimberly Herb, and I snapped a picture of it because their face and David's jawline, we just saw them not too long ago. They look completely different. So, we are the expert. These are very smart doctors who help people in a remarkable way, but just needed to create a better metabolic environment. And it's just pretty remarkable. If you can't eat carbs without gaining weight, that's a sign you are metabolically sick. And then going back to the program that we've created, I remember even being in chiropractic practice where, this time of year, we were making nutritional advice, and we were saying, hey, live in gratitude. You want to be in that parasympathetic state where your body's adapting well, where you're not in this high stress cortisol state. So one of the things we did and recommended, and I know you know what I'm going to say, is as we were clinicians, we were recommending extra chiropractic adjustments for our clients. In fact, we would give them away. At least I did. I think you did. I probably got it from you, where if you were, supposed to come once a week, we said, hey, come twice a week. If you're supposed to come once every 2 weeks, we said, hey, come once every week. We basically just added an extra adjustment, and for no other reason than to help clear the nervous system, which obviously we live our life through, to help make sure that during this time of year where there potentially is more stress and more things that can disrupt our equilibrium and our homeostasis, we're like, hey, let's keep that nervous system clear. So I'm excited. I get my adjustment on Wednesday of this week. That's typically the day I get it. I'm probably going to go extra this time of year. In fact, I got 2 adjustments last week. But if you're not seeing a chiropractor, you're not clearing your nervous system, and we hear more people talking about it now than ever before, but it's a fraudulent conversation if you're not consistently having a chiropractor assess and clear your nervous system. There is no replacement for spinal integrity and clear nerve supply.
No, not at all. I remember we used to say, "Hey, come in and get your flu adjustments." Remember that?
I
Yes,
do remember
yes, yes.
that. I do remember
Everybody,
that.
we talked about the last few podcasts about it being the cold and flu season. Why that's it, insane to even think
Right.
that. So that would be part of what we would do because yeah, you're not immune to that stress, especially at this time of year for so many different reasons. So you got to make sure that you're protecting your nervous system. And so some things that you can do to be able to intentionally be enjoying the holidays without feeling like you're having to start over on January the 1st is number one, is make sure that you're eating intentionally.
Mhm.
We've given you all the tools to be able to do that. So if you listen to any podcast episodes, we've
Mhm.
told you already the strategies to use to make sure that you are intentionally eating. We've given you the acronyms. Surf for your food. Simply eat real
What is
food.
that, Dr. Rob? What is real food?
Yeah, real food is the food that, in fact, okay, I left to go out of town on Friday, come back, was cleaning up last night after I got in, and yeah, I had to throw away two avocados that were sitting on my counter, as well as three bananas because they had gone bad. So real food is food that if you set it on the counter and in a short period of time it goes bad, that is real food. Versus if I would have left a Twinkie on the counter and come back
Taking me
after
back to
being gone
college.
after a few days, that Twinkie would have looked exactly the same. Not only a Twinkie, but I used to do this also with, for example, the white bread, like the Wonder Bread
Hmm.
type
No
bread.
wonder you're constipated,
Yeah, no
that
wonder
bread.
you're constipated,
Yeah,
and the stuff would never go bad.
never.
And so, why? Because that is not real food. So,
I also like the other acronym too that goes along with that is sci-fi, right? Which is very simple. It's not the SCI-FI. I don't even like sci-fi movies. I just can't get into them. I'm too my mind needs to understand certain things. I can't do it. But sci-fi, SIFI, single ingredient food items. So these are foods in their most natural state where they haven't been adulterated. So things like if you're going to eat beef, the only ingredient would be beef. If you were going to eat eggs, it's not, these egg whites in a carton that have preservative. It's an egg out of the carton, hopefully pasture raised or grass fed beef. It's a carrot. Carrots should have one ingredient. So single ingredient food items are so powerful. Just using surf and sci-fi to navigate food choices can radically alter your life. And the great thing about that is you really can eat a lot of those foods and they do create satiety. So they're going to stimulate the right satiety hormones, things like, cholecystokinin. They're going to help regulate ghrelin. They're going to help stabilize insulin and cortisol, even things like GLP-1, which is the hottest rage of people injecting these peptides, which are so devastating to your body. Your body will naturally release these satiety hormones out of the small intestine when you simply eat real food and you eat single ingredient food items.
yeah, no doubt. So, that's just going to be able to make you feel more confident about things. Even like we talked about it last week, and I loved it because I was eating on the flight home. I was eating one of those Grassley beef sticks. If you haven't had
Oh,
beef stick,
no, I mean, well, I've
yes,
had the slabs of the brisket and the beef stick. Yeah,
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 the beef stick is amazing, and it's
yeah.
got beef and salt.
That's it.
That's it.
I think it's the Vera salt too, which is a high quality salt without any microplastics.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you can do that guilt free. Tastes delicious. All right. So when you handle December now, and what January can actually look like when it's handled correctly, you're gonna have more energy. Here's the other thing that I was just thinking about.
What's that?
It goes freaking fast. And what I mean by that is it was a very short time ago when we had reconnected with Dr. Herb that we were just talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
And he was saying, guys, you know what? I need to lose at least 30 pounds so I
yeah.
can be able to get under 200 pounds. And we told him that. We're like, you know what? This is going to happen super fast. Just start the program, get going. It's like, all right, when can I start? He starts a few days later, and here we are. He's already now,
Yeah, he's
you're
ready.
just amazed. So,
In Costa Rica. That was his goal, is to get it done by Costa Rica. So I said, show up in your European swim trunk.
yeah.
I don't think that he wore a European swim trunk, but if he had to, he could have.
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
January, you can be literally sitting there in January
Yeah.
in 5 short weeks from now with more energy, fewer cravings, less inflammation, a clearer mindset. January then just becomes a continuation, not a restart.
And I would say something to that too, if I can, because I think if you're the person that finds yourself every single year and your New Year's resolution is having to lose weight, you've got to reassess. Because that's one of the reasons why New Year's resolutions kind of get a bad rap. New Year's resolutions, I think, are phenomenal, but they become mundane and they become very painful if every single year you're having to start over and try to fix something that you should have already gotten control of. And that's why I love our thin method and working with us at Happy Healthy. What if now imagine going into the new year like we are, and a lot of our clients are, where losing weight is no longer a part of your resolution. Now you're stacking other higher level goals on top of already having established a healthy metabolic profile. I'm glad I'm going into this year and I get to stack some resolutions that I know are going to make me better and help me show more discipline and accountability in my life. And none of them have to do with losing weight. That is where you start getting to a whole nother level of health, mind, body, and spirit. But if you keep having to stack the same resolution over and over and over because you have a bad metabolism, that is the heartbreaking thing. And that's really the life that most people live, Dr. Rob.
It is. It is. And I know as you're talking about, because you've said discipline several times, I remember, and if you've listened to us for any length of time, something that you know about me is that every year before the beginning of the new year, I pick a word that's my intention word for the year. And so last year, when I was thinking about this and praying what the word was going to be, because 2023 was freedom. 2024 was transformation. Last year, 2025, the word was, and I was not happy about this at all. The word was discipline. And I wasn't happy about it because people hear the word discipline and they automatically think hard. But really, when you break down the word discipline, and a lot of people are familiar with like the 12 disciples, for example. That's the root word of the word discipline, disciple, right? So what it really means is students. And so Jesus was the teacher of the disciples. They were students. So when you become a student and you're consistent with not just what you're learning, but putting into action what it is that you're learning and doing that on a consistent basis, that really is what discipline is. And as I was spending time thinking about how that word really played itself out throughout this year, it was really being a rock and being planted in the principles that we talk about in the midst of all of the chaos, in the storms, in the challenges of life flying around. The discipline was staying true to those principles.
Yeah.
And so that was last year's word. I have the word for 2026. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but I do have the word, and I'm really excited about it because it really takes these last few years' intention words and puts them all together. And I love how discipline played a role in that, and just being committed to that throughout the year. So
thank you for saying that.
Words matter.
They do matter. And listen, some of you may be listening right now and you're just going through a brutal, hard time. There are seasons, but I would say this, and in your worst moments, you really find out what you're made of and what you believe. And I think there's something great that God put on every single one of us. I remember in some of my worst moments, even going back even 15 years ago, when one of my worst moments was a lethal cancer diagnosis, and I never felt lower and maybe even more scared than I ever had. But there was a quote that I always go back to. It's from Adrian Rogers, and he said, it's not exactly, but the essence of it was, the same truth in the light is the same truth in the dark. What is the truth, right? And once you know the truth, not your truth, because your truth means you believe all your bull crap. There's the truth. And when you know the truth, it never changes. You never have to question it. You never have to waver from it. You can fully anchor to it. And there's such freedom and peace that can come from that. So I think that's one of the things that we try to do a great job of is landing there, anchoring there, because who can anchor to an unanchored mind? A great quote from BJ Palmer, the developer of chiropractic. So for you, I would ask, what are you anchored to? What is the truth? And when you know that to be true, you don't have to waver from it, and you don't have to live in fear. And that really is where the discipline is worth it and where it can come from, because we do know that fear is not coming from a good place, that really the spirit that God gives you is power, love, and a sound mind. And that sound mind is discipline when you're anchored to the truth, and you don't have to waver from that.
I love that. And I think that's a great place to stop right there.
Okay.
As we're heading into this new year. And so we'll be back with you again next week for episode number 145.
Woo.
Yeah, as we're coming to the close of 2025, which is hard to believe. I can say this is we've got a lot of really exciting things coming up in 2026. We were just talking about before coming on the air, and we're really excited about that. And so we love you guys. We appreciate you listening. Like the show, share it with your friends. Next year, we've got some new things coming, and I think it's going to be fairly obvious coming up in the new year pretty soon what those new things are. And again, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. I want to, but I'm not.
No, don't.
I'm not a big fan of cats anyway, so I kind of want to let that cat out of the bag. But
come from that saying,
I don't know,
the cat out of the bag.
What bag were they in?
Or there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's too many cat references that people use for my taste. If you're a cat lover, God bless you. There's a special place in heaven for you. I always feel like cats are planning to murder me or somehow scheming against me.
I never know what they're thinking.
I don't know what they're thinking for sure. But I can tell you this, going into this year, for those of you who are part of our community, for those who are not, get involved, buckle up. We're going to bring just as much value as we can possibly bring to you. We're committed. In fact, I bought some brand new shoes to get ready for all the steps and the miles and the sprints and the walking and the climbing that we're going to have to do. By the way, they're wide toe box, flat soled with a composite base. So I'm getting connection to the earth. So these aren't, elevated heel, rubber soled shoes, shortening my Achilles and disconnecting me from God. These are real wide box toe flat shoes, connecting me, grounding. I am ready to go, Dr. Rob. So if you're with me, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Let's do this. Can't wait to see him. You guys have a great day. Have a happy, healthy week, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Happy, Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.